Hello YouTube, my name is Ryan Thomas and I am your very hungry host for today's newly named DM Genesis program. So, today, in this episode, I will be discussing how to obtain that which makes you a DM, that which is essential for all of your DM tomfoolery, and most importantly, that which is most likely to ruin your plans and crush your hopes and dreams. I'm speaking, of course, of the group itself. That brings me to the title of today's episode. Episode 1, Gathering the Gaggle. So, as some of you know, this is a subject that is pretty relevant to me. If you saw my video put up yesterday, I do apologize for it being up yesterday, by the way, and this one not being out till today. I had internet problems, I couldn't upload the video I had yesterday. I watched it again today and said, I can do better. So, I'm doing better now, I hope. That said, I'm going to get right on track because I am hungry and say, yes, it is a relevant topic to me because I have just finished making a new group. As I said before, I've relocated, I am in a new environment, and I needed a new group as a result. So I decided to go out and get one. And in this episode, I'm going to outline how I did it and my thoughts behind it. I originally intended to make a video before I went and got a group and telling you guys my plan, and then later telling you how it was executed and how it worked. I didn't really have time, I apologize. Now I'm just going to tell you everything at once. For that reason, this may be a slightly longer video than I had hoped it would be, but still, I do hope it's useful. So I'm going to start off by... I'm going to tell you my plan. When I came into this, I had a plan, and I'm going to tell you what that is and how to act on it, and if you want to follow the same one as I did. But first, I'm going to tell you, just give some general information on the topic. Now, gathering the group is a subject that is kind of glazed over by a number of more reliable sources for DM tips and information. This is for two main reasons. One, you don't tend to look up how to be a better DM if you're not already the DM of a group. So, usually it is assumed that you have a group and you're trying to figure out how to be a DM, not how to become a DM. There's a difference. Two is, it's a bit of an iffy subject because... when it comes to getting a group, the most important thing, which I'm going to touch on for as short as I can and try not to go on a rant, is you have to be charismatic. You have to be outgoing, social. And there is a stereotype attached to us in the tabletop role-playing game community that we are not any of those things. And you and I both know it's not true, but there's always this lurking fear that when we talk to someone, they're going to see that stereotype in us. And there's really no way to get around that, I apologize, but the only thing we can really do is go and prove it wrong and say, hi, I am a Dungeons & Dragons player and I'm proud. This isn't like a D&D Anonymous meeting. Hi, I'm Ryan, I play Dungeons & Dragons for 4 years. No. It's I am who I am and I am proud. I enjoy it, this is my hobby. And the funny thing is, people respect that. This is something that, maybe it's new, but people don't mind at all if you say you play Dungeons & Dragons. They kind of go, oh, that's interesting, if they're not interested. But, I mean, sure, there's people who might go too far with being a jerk about it, but they're pretty easy to identify, and they tend not to be the people you want to talk to anyway, let alone about this. No, I'm saying, when you're going to get a group, if you're talking to people in person, here's the first official tip, I guess, you need to be charismatic, you need to be proud of who you are. My roommate, within an hour of meeting him, I dropped the bomb and said, hey, I play Dungeons & Dragons. If you want to play a game, if you want to join my group, I'm looking for a group, I'd love to get more players. He's like, nah, not my thing. That's fine. That's all it was. Not my thing. And we're pretty good friends now. So, that's what you tend to get if they say no. Not my thing. I'll think about it. I mean, that's all you're really gonna get. So just go out and do it, talk to people, just be proud. And that is the first step. So, that said, I'm going to go on to the second step, which is a variety of steps that are all combined into step 2 of this 2-step process. Step 2 is just a very large step. That is my plan. When I came into this, as I said, I had a plan. I sat down. Actually, I think I was in the shower when I thought of this, so I was standing up, and if I recall, I was shampooing my hair. So, I thought, well, I need a new group. I'm in a new environment. I don't know anybody. How am I going to get this? Posters. That's a good start. And I did it. I finished showering. I dried off. I came back to my dorm. I don't think I put clothes on. And I started writing up a poster. Just open up a Word document, big letters, players wanted, etc., etc. I went through a few different versions before I came out with my final version. I'm considering, I may not do that, I may not decide, depending on whether I feel like it's just excessive, post these messages that I'm going to talk about throughout this video on the description, or maybe even at the end of the video. I don't know. I'll think about it as I do the rest of the video, I suppose. So, this is an addition from last night, as you can tell. Yes. Now, as I was making my posters, I am in, my major has a Facebook group in my college. So, first thing I did was I took that message and directly put it onto Facebook, because everyone's on Facebook all the time these days. So I just threw it up there, and I realized I just threw it into this group of people who I don't really know all that well, because I personally am proud. I know that other people are too, and they will come to me if they're given the opportunity, because I've talked to my friends, my previous group members, and they said, well, I'm looking for a group, I don't know how to find one. And I'm like, well, I guess the DMs need to make themselves known, because it's hard to... I think it's hard for players to go around asking, hey, do you DM, do you DM, do you DM? It's easier for the DMs to go, come to me, my flock, come to me! Although, probably a little less creepy than that. So, that's what I did. Come to me, flock! Except that wasn't the exact message. That one was a little more... I do remember one important part of that message. It may be important, you may disagree. I added onto that message, if you're not interested in playing, but you want information on the subject, feel free to contact me anyway. Just with questions, or just asking what it is. Even if you're not interested, I'm fine with it. And then I added, all contact is confidential. And this was just really... for those who may think the stereotype's true and do not want to fall under it, even if they aren't interested, they just want information but are afraid to ask because they'll look like that, I don't know. I added it because I saw no reason not to, and I don't think anyone's going to be offended by it, so I guess if you do this, consider just saying all contact is confidential, or something along those lines. In my case, I gave out my email address and had people email me. So that's how that went. I got a few, I think I got 5 or 6 replies that way in my email inbox, I mean. Now, another thing I did, still in my poster plan, this is kind of like a sub-step within step 2, and later steps will have sub-steps within the sub-steps, and it's a lot more systematic the way I did it in my head than the way I'm explaining it. But just try to follow along. So, still on the poster topic, I also went to the lounge on my floor in my dorm hall. I went to a few different lounges in my dorm hall. I went to my friend's dorm hall. I went to some random dorm halls that I just happened to have an into by talking to random people. And I just had them in my backpack and some duct tape. Always helpful. So if I just went in the lounges and I put up my little posters saying something along the lines of the players wanted if you want to join a Pathfinder, aka a D&D tabletop role-playing game offshoot game. I am looking for players. Contact me at email address. And no big deal. People can just look at it, say, email address, pretty easy to remember, and they can go home and just start typing into the email. And I got a bunch of answers that way. I can tell which answers came from which because there were like 2 or 3 day steps 2 or 3 day gaps in between this. I didn't have paper for my printer at first. I remember the printer, I remember the ink, I forgot the paper, I had to get the paper, I did this after Facebook things. So, anyway, so that done, still on the poster topic I suppose, I also joined a club, specifically for this, the Game Hobbyist League at my college. Not specifically for this, they usually play board games, but I figured, well, this is where I'm going to find the same kind of people. So I went there. Sadly, they don't fit into my schedule. I was only able to attend that one meeting, and then boxing actually takes up that time slot for me, so I can't really... I try to pop in once in a while because I'm grateful that they just let me come in. This is the important part. I just put Pathfinder. This is the Game Hobbyist League, so I figure it's pretty self-explanatory. Plus, I talk to a bunch of people in person. That is a big part. I wish I could go into like a half-hour rant about how to talk to people in person, but most of you guys know how to do that, and I don't want to come off like a self-help book. Just, it's very important. If you can, talk to people. If someone sees you putting up the poster and asks you about it in person, have answers ready. Look like you just know what's going on. Even if you don't, it's fine. But people love charisma. They really do. Just be polite, be friendly, you do great. But anyway, so I talked to them. They're like, oh yeah, you can find players here. Just put your name up on the board. I said, I put Pathfinder DM looking for players, and then email address. That's all I put. And I got like 3 or 4 that way. I did a few more poster-related things, placing them in like on message boards and bulletin boards in my general vicinity, and that's all there really is to the poster thing. It's pretty straightforward. If you're an adult, not in college, I would recommend your town's community center or rec center or whatever you have for some form of public building. I mean, maybe town office, if they don't have a problem with it. I know some town offices just have bulletin boards that people are free to use. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to get a lot of answers that way, but in the end, it really just comes down to getting your name out there in whatever way possible. That is the end point here, that for this entire sub-step. Get your name out there in one way or another. Go around, talk to people, do not be shy. Just if you're in a conversation with somebody and they seem to like things generally the same as you do, just go ahead and say it. Hey, would you be interested in playing this tabletop role-playing game with me? I Dungeon Master, or I want to Dungeon Master, or anything like that. Would you be willing to give it a try? Just get your name out there, whatever it takes. As long as you don't aren't offensive when you do it, it'll be fine. And you will get a lot of bites that way. I got a lot more than I expected. I expected maybe a group of 5 or 6 people if I was lucky. I got over 20 replies. I can't do a group of 20. And that rolls me into the next topic, really. You need to be kind of selective. And this is the part that I feel like a lot of people may disagree with me on, because my feelings are as follows. As a DM, it is your world. You have every right to make it whatever kind of world you want. However, as a DM, you also have an obligation to the players to make sure that they enjoy your world and that they are immersed in your world. So it's a give and take thing. You need to make a world that you enjoy making, but the players have to enjoy being in. So, in the end, there needs to be a balance, a very important balance between player enjoyment and your enjoyment, because if you don't enjoy your job, you're going to make crappy stuff, and the players won't like crappy stuff. If the players don't enjoy your world, no matter how great your stuff is, they're just not enjoying it, and you won't get the satisfaction of seeing the looks on their faces when something great happens. It's you need to rely on each other for enjoyment in this thing. This is very much a social game. This is just a big social event. That's all it really is, and there needs to be there's give and take, just like there is in a friendship or any form of partnership or alliance in any nook and cranny of history. There has to be give and take. So, for that reason, I feel like we as DMs need to be somewhat selective. I'm not saying be picky, be selective. There's a difference. What I did, I had, like I said, like 20 plus replies. So I thought about this for a while, and I realized in my previous group, I had been trying to get feedback. I did it by asking questions, what they thought of certain things, and I had them answer an anonymous to a anonymous source in a way, as anonymous as I could make it, so their names weren't attached to answers and such. But that's never a way to guarantee the answer. Still, the concept applied. I realized, I think I was laying down in my bed at night for this realization to hit me. What I could do, I could go into these emails and just type up a generic response and say, "Hi, potential player," to test out, just so that I know. Like I said, I might put this stuff up on YouTube. I don't currently have the windows open in front of me, so I don't remember what I wrote. But it was something along the lines of, can you answer these few questions for me? This will help me ensure that you get the most out of my game as a player, and that we can work well together. And there was another intention behind this. Yes, I needed them to answer these questions so that I could tell their opinions on the game, but I also wanted to know if they were willing to do it. I got like 20 plus replies. I wanted them to be willing, not to just say, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll join." They need to put in some effort, I think. Players do. Just to prove that they're going to immerse themselves in the game. It takes some work, it takes some effort. So I had them answer like 3 little questions. It was nothing big. I don't want to exhaust anyone. I think they were, how do you define, in terms that you were willing to live up to during the game, role-playing? What experience do you have with tabletop role-playing in general, and more specifically Pathfinder? And my third one is kind of just not clicking for some reason. I'm not sure. I'll have to look through that stuff, and I might put it up in the description. I'll think about it. But basically, just get some short questions, ask some stuff that you need to know, that you feel comfortable asking and knowing, that will make sure that you can play the game with them. For example, I got some replies back, and this is still rather important. I'm not just throwing anecdotes out there. I got some replies back that, for the role-playing question, this was a real killer for me. This was the important one. It was question 1. I don't tend to role-play in games like these. I treat it as almost wholly mechanical. I pretty much just tag along until the combat comes, and I appreciate the honesty, guys, but that's not what I want to do as a DM. I don't want to just design combat after combat and dungeon crawl after dungeon crawl. I want storyline. I want intrigue. I want to make something interesting. I don't just want to make a hack and slash. I don't want you pressing square, 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 triangle, 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 square, X, circle, blah, right trigger. No. If this was Call of Duty, I would have you hold down the right trigger while holding an assault rifle, and you just win the game. That's not what I want to do. I want Call of Duty Black Ops to be Call of Duty Black Ops. I want there to be subterfuge and espionage. And I want covert operations. I want all kinds of variations of how to play this game, and just use these rules in the craziest ways possible. I want role-playing, in a short answer. And some people aren't willing to give it to me. So I had to say, listen, I'm sorry, but I don't think my game is a good fit for you. I tried to recommend them, like, here's the Game Hobbyist League, they meet then, and maybe you'll find someone there willing to help. willing to play your style of game. And I'm willing to put you on a wait list, but unless you are willing to change that view dramatically, I'm afraid we're not a good match, and we just won't get optimal enjoyment out of this game together. So, I had to do that to a few people, and I felt bad, but it needs to be done. And they understood. So, short answer, yeah, that needs to be done. You need to, obviously anyone who doesn't reply is automatically out, because they need to be able to put in the effort to be a player. Anyone who replies with dramatically wrong, I'm not saying be picky here, but something where you like role-playing and they say, oh, I never role-play. You say, that doesn't work. I'm sorry. Those were out, but I did ask them to change. I didn't just automatically say out, and they didn't, and that's fine. It's their style. I'm not blaming them for it. So this process wheedled them down, and this was the next major step for me. I was down to about 12 or so now, and I then threw out a few more questions and information and just waited for the replies to kind of die off. I didn't drag it out over a long period of time, but it's hard to explain how I did it. I felt I was rather masterful with it, but I needed to know who was willing to pay attention, who was willing to actually devote themselves, at least partially, to this. And I ended up getting about 9 people. And this I found acceptable. Barely acceptable, because that's still big, very big. But I'm considering having one of them be a DM assistant. If I do that, I will definitely keep you guys updated on how that works. But, for now, moving on. So I moved into the final stage of my little plan here, which was to actually meet everyone and get them all together in one place before I try to start this game, just to make sure everyone's compatible. And this, in retrospect, and as I was looking at it, I felt was really important, because a lot of these people I had gathered, I did not actually meet in person. I knew only by email addresses. I didn't know their faces. I didn't know really anything about them, except how they had answered the questions, and that's it. And their email address. So I then brought them. I sent out a few emails saying, "Hey everyone, scheduling a meet and eat and greet," and we gathered about 4 days later in one of the local dining halls on my campus. And we all gathered at a table. That was a fiasco. I had to wear bright tie-dye. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be wearing super bright tie-dye. Yeah, so come find the tie-dye in this group of many people. Luckily, one of the players just happened to be standing by the door talking to the guy who checked people into the dining hall, and he stops me and looks, and he's like, you are right, that is very flamboyant tie-dye. And I go, you're in my group. Big guy. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be good. I already like my players, I really do. I love their personalities and just, it's just good. But, my eye. Sorry. I apologize. But, so, sat down at my table and had him, actually, if anyone happens to ask you, just direct them over towards there. Because I didn't get as close to the door as I had wanted to be, because it was rather full at the time I went. But, I eventually, people started filtering in, and I remember people would walk by and then look at me and go, are you looking for a Pathfinder group? And I go, yes, that's me. And they're like, hi, my name's Nick, or hi, my name's Jeremy, or etc., etc. And slowly but surely we gathered, and then I realized, oh crap, the table I got is only fit for 6 people, even with extra chairs pulled in. And so I then, me being the DM, I guess this is kind of my job, I look behind me and there's this table with a guy and his girlfriend, and I feel so bad to this, but guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gathering a big group of people. Would it be possible to push you down just a little bit so that I can get this space, or even better yet, we're all gonna move so you can just get this entire table to yourselves? And they're like, yeah, sure, that's fine, no big deal. See, it's not so hard. So then we sat down at the table and we talked. and I kind of treated it as, at first I told them in the email what this was going to be. I said, we're basically going to go over my general idea for all of this, and then I'm just going to let you guys loose to say whatever you want, ask questions, or just talk to each other and plan out character ideas. Whatever you want to do, it's fine. So that's what I did. We sat down and I went over some house rules that I have. I explained player etiquette, just further reinforced the point of role-playing. It was, in the end, it wasn't that, it wasn't hard, it wasn't too long of a speech, but I feel it was important. I do think they needed to see my face and hear me talk, and this was another. I seem to have a lot of ulterior motives, but they needed to be able to listen to me, is what I felt. And I needed to prove that they could, and they had to be able to understand what I was saying and find my speaking style, which some of you know is a little, some of you have the opinion is a little off at times, is to their liking. So I got no complaints, and I got a bunch of questions about my house rules and my world and a lot of other things, and I just answered them appropriately. And then I said, alright guys, that's pretty much it. If you want to leave, you can leave. If you want to stay and talk, you can stay and talk. I mean, I have no control over you. I'm going to be staying for a while, and if you think of something, just ask me. And we all sat at the table, and they kind of planned out some character ideas. I'm sorry, I keep looking away from the camera. It's a bad habit. And it worked out. So that was my group now. Then my group was made. I suppose I will now explain another thing that comes after my group is created that I feel is very important. It's not part of obtaining the group, but it is, I feel, important. It's something I've lovingly called my Dungeonomic Management Plan. It is essentially a syllabus for my expectations and my rules and my etiquette and everything. Everything I have is a big, massive document, and I say at the top in very bold letters, you do not have to read all of this. You only need to read like a few sections in it. It is, I like how professional it looks. But I feel that's important, because you need to make everything clear to them as soon as possible, so they know what they're up against. Moreover, you need to have it fully accessible at all times, and I've sent this all out to them via email, and contacting players is something I probably will get into another point in time, but I sent this all out via email, and now they all have a copy of it, so they can just look at it whenever they want. They have all my house rules are listed on there, and of course this thing slowly goes through changes as time progresses. And just any rule in general I have for table manners as such, it's there. So I feel that's really important. Just outlining, I suppose the end result of this video is you are the DM. This is your group, and yes, they're individuals, and they deserve to have fun, and it is your job, to make sure they have fun. That's part of our enjoyment as DMs, I think. I enjoy it, and I bet you guys do too. But once you get the group, and that is a challenge in and of itself, you need to make sure the group and you communicate strongly, and everything is clear between you guys. So all this is really about finding the right group, I suppose, is just the most important part of all of this. My group is fully understanding, and a lot of them have more experience than I do, but they're fine with me DMing, and they're like, okay. I mean, I like your style, I like your attitude. I want you to be my DM. This is the important part. Don't be shy, because people like it. People want you to. They want you to DM. They do. Sometimes they don't want to. Sometimes they just like how you talk and think you do a great job. But in the end, get a group that works for you. And then you will work for the group. And it'll all work out. That is all I can really say. So, quick recap. 1, be charismatic. Be confident. Go out and talk to people. 2, start following the actual how to get, keeping number 1 in mind. Do all these things afterwards. get your name out there. Use posters. Just go talk to people. Word of mouth works. I actually got a few of my responses by getting one person to respond, and then he's like, hey, I know some other people who might be interested. Want me to check with them? And I said, yes, go do that right now. And they did. And that's how I got some of my people. Just whatever it takes to get your name out there, get it out there. Have no shame whatsoever. You deserve to be proud of yourself. 2, be selective. Make sure that they are willing to put in the work. I have warned all my players that I do expect you all to have at least 1 page double-spaced character background for your characters. That is, I feel, important because it allows, not only does it make sure they're willing to put in the work, but it also allows them to really flesh out their character and feel good about something they made, and it gives me an opportunity to use like character-related side quests, or I just think it's a really important thing. Make sure they're willing to put in the work. Make sure that they work well with you. They like your style. And that all falls under like asking them questions, then doing a meet and greet, which I think if you can do it, I would definitely recommend it. I feel like that was a very important step. I think my group feels really close now, even though we've basically just met each other. I think it was a very important thing. And finally, make sure the communication, which as I said I may go over in another video later, is clear, and it is very important at all times in all human relationships whatsoever, but I don't want to be a self-help book. Just talk and make everything clear whenever possible. If you want to do a dungeon, that one I will make it available. That one I'm going to make available, my Dungeonomic Management Plan. I'll figure out a way to do that. It'll be in the description somewhere, but I feel like that's important, and I will give you guys a taste of what I choose to do with that. Now, that's basically the recap. Just as a side note, I seem very systematic. This is the case until the game starts, and then I get very... I think I'm pretty good at winging things, so to speak. And this happens very frequently to me. I plan out general situations, and I end up not being able to follow through with my original plan, but because my situation's there, I can just go, okay, I can do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then, oh crap, I don't have enough time to do... I don't have anything ready for this, so... How about this, and this, and this, and nah. I'm pretty good with improvising. So, don't be intimidated by my... many systems, or whatever you want to call them. You don't have to be like this in order during the game. I know I'm not, but I feel like it is a very important thing for the group creation process. That is why I am saying it, and I hope you will take that to heart. So, I'm sure this video has already ran on for pretty dang long. It may even be longer than the one I had last night, which was really what I was trying to avoid, but I do feel like I babbled less, so I think this was an improvement. Now, my name was Ryan Thomas. This is the DM Genesis program. If you like me, give me 5 stars, or like me. I keep forgetting whatever system Facebook uses, or I'm sorry, YouTube uses these days. Facebook and YouTube both use likes. But whatever it takes to say you like me, go ahead and do it. Leave a comment, ask a question, subscribe to my channel, make a video response. When Sean Connors did that, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. No, but whatever it takes to say you like me, I love the attention. I really do. And thank you guys so much, as I said in that community outreach video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Ryan Thomas, the DM Genesis program. To all of you newbie DMs out there, I said newbie, I'm sorry. To all of you new DMs out there, welcome. As if I deserve to say that.